Long before Rome dominated the Mediterranean, before many European kingdoms were born, a powerful African civilization rose along the Nile. South of Egypt, in the land known as Nubia, stood a kingdom of gold, iron, warrior queens, and pyramids. This was the kingdom of Kush, and its legacy still echoes across Africa today. The story begins in Nubia, in present-day Sudan. For thousands of years, the Nile River nourished rich farmland between harsh deserts. The region was blessed with gold mines, cattle wealth, ivory, incense, and trade routes linking Central Africa to the Mediterranean world. By 2500 BCE, a powerful city called Kerma had emerged. Kerma was not a tribal settlement. It was a sophisticated urban center with massive mud brick structures, organized leadership, and international trade networks. Kush traded gold, ebony, ivory, and livestock with Egypt. But this was not a one-sided relationship. At times, Kush and Egypt were rivals. At times, they were partners. And eventually, Kush would do the unthinkable. In the 8th century BCE, the balance of power shifted. A Kushite king named Paye marched north. Egypt, weakened and divided, could not resist him. Paye conquered the Nile Valley and established what historians call the 25th dynasty, the Kushite dynasty of Egypt. For nearly a century, African rulers from Kush sat on the throne of the pharaohs. One of the greatest among them was Taharqa. Under Kushite rule, temples were restored, monuments were built, and ancient religious traditions were revived. For a moment in history, the Nile Valley, from Sudan to the Mediterranean, was unified under African leadership. But empires attract enemies. The Assyrians invaded from the north, forcing the Kushite rulers to retreat back to Nubia. Yet Kush did not fall. It transformed. The Kushite capital moved south to a city called Meroe. Here, something remarkable happened. Kush reinvented itself. Meroe became one of the ancient world's great industrial centers. Iron production flourished. Trade routes expanded deeper into Africa and across the Red Sea. Merchants carried gold, ivory, and exotic goods to distant lands. The Kushites even developed their own writing system, Meroitic, which scholars are still trying to fully understand today. And in the desert sands, hundreds of pyramids rose, steeper than Egypt's pyramids, smaller but powerful. Kush built more pyramids than Egypt. Let that sink in. Kush was different from many ancient kingdoms. Here, women could rule. They were called Kandakes, powerful queens who commanded armies and negotiated with empires. One Kandake, often identified as Amanirenas, went to war with Rome itself. When Roman forces pushed south into Nubia, Kush resisted fiercely. In the end, a peace treaty was signed, on terms favorable to Kush. Rome did not conquer them. That alone speaks volumes. By the 4th century CE, Kush began to weaken. Environmental changes affected agriculture. Trade routes shifted. New powers rose in the region, including the kingdom of Aksum. Eventually, Meroe fell. But Kush did not simply vanish. Its traditions influenced later Nubian Christian kingdoms. Its pyramids still stand. Its memory survived in the culture of the Nile Valley. For too long, the kingdom of Kush stood in the shadow of Egypt. But the truth is clear. Kush was not a footnote. It was a rival, a conqueror, an innovator, a civilization that ruled Egypt, resisted Rome, mastered iron, and built pyramids across the desert. The Nile was never the story of one civilization. It was a shared African story. And Kush is proof that ancient Africa was powerful, advanced, and globally connected. History did not begin elsewhere. It flowed through Africa. And the kingdom of Kush was one of its greatest chapters.